And so what we're going to talk about today is mathematical language. Okay, what are some of the words and phrases that come up, and how do we translate them so that we're all on the same page in terms of decoding some of these math things. So first thing, I want to talk about 4 different things with you today. The first thing I want to talk about is just starting out with the basics of addition and subtraction. All right, addition is pretty straightforward. When we want to add, you're going to see words like increase, sum, more, things like that, those words. So in your homework tonight, you might have something that's pretty straightforward that would say something like this. 3 more than 5 times a number. And then your job would just be to turn that into a math expression. Okay, so 3 more than 5 times a number. And so that would imply that we're going to do addition. Does anybody want to tackle that one? Brush the cobwebs off a little bit and just get why it's not too confident. Okay, anybody else? 3 more than 5 times a number. Go ahead, Billy. All right, he said 5x plus 3. All right, he chose x to represent the number. Someone else could have said, oh, anybody had something different in their head, what they were thinking of? Anybody have it backwards? Okay, I mean, you could have had 3 plus, because it's 3 more than, and maybe you thought 5n for 5 times a number. That would have been fine too. Okay, any of those are fine. Have the variable and it shows addition, so that's no problem. Subtraction is where it gets tricky because the order is going to be really important. So you've got subtraction. You're going to have words like decrease, and then, or let's see, decreased, and then also decreased by. Those are going to mean something different, whether it has the by on it or not. Decreased or decreased by. You could have less versus less than. That's going to mean something different. The order of subtraction is going to be important. All right, so let me give you an example of how that might show up. Let's try 4 less than half a number. Okay, 4 less than half a number versus 4 less half a number. So that word than actually makes a big difference in how the order is going to go to 4 less than and then half the number, or 4 less half a number. What's the difference in that? All right, when you have less than, it means that one thing is bigger than the other. So which is bigger in the first option? Is the 4 bigger, or is the half a number bigger? You kind of compare the two. What would you say? The way it's phrased. 4 less than half a number. Which one is the bigger one? Even you can think of it this way. Okay, 4 is in this hand. Half a number is in this hand. The 4 is less than, right? Okay, so if you think of it that way, the bigger thing should start the problem. So you want half the number, which would be half n, to start, and then minus 4. If the word than is not there, then the order stays as it is. If it's just 4 less half a number, then it's going to be 4 minus half. And those are two different things. Subtraction, the order does matter. And so if you need to think of it like a visual, which one is heavier, which one is worth more of a value, watch out for the word than. That word by, the decrease and the decreased by, acts the same way. Okay, if you have the word by, decreased by, then that's going to affect the order. All right, second thing we want to talk about is percentages. How to remove the percentage sign. All right, now if I were to ask you, what happens when you take off a percentage sign? There's usually one thing that everybody remembers to do, because I feel like the elementary school teachers teach that really, really, really well in elementary, and usually there's one thing everybody remembers to do. And then there's a second thing that you're supposed to do, and I feel like that's the one that everybody forgets. All right, so what do you think? You can at least tell me one of them. When you take, if I gave you like 75%, and I said take off that percentage sign, what happens to that? What do you remember about that? You move the decimal, right? Exactly. That's what usually everybody remembers, is to move the decimal. What direction and how far? Okay, 2 to the left. Move the decimal 2 to the left. So that's one thing. All right, move the decimal 2 to the left. But then there's something else you have to do, and that's the part that usually everybody forgets. Anybody remember? No? Okay. All right, so what you're going to do after that is you're going to include either the price or a variable if you don't know the price. So for example, if I was talking about 75% and what that would turn into, okay, 75%. It would turn into 0.75. Okay, that's the part, take the percentages off, put the decimal back on, and then you also need to include, if you know the price, if the price was $15, then you follow that by a 15. If you don't know the price, then you follow it by a variable like X. That's the part that almost always gets forgotten, is that it's got to be 75% of something, either of the price or what you don't know. All right, so an example of where you might see that in some word problems tonight is like this. Write the cost Okay, write the cost for two things. All right, the first thing we're going to write the cost for, part A, is a discount of 35%. And then part B, sales tax of 9.25%. All right, I'm going to show you how to write both of those. Okay, write the cost for either a discount of 35% or a sales tax of 9.25%. All right, here's how it's going to work. A discount of 35% off of what? Okay, off of the original price. An original price is worth 100%. You always have to start with the number 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the number 100, and we're going to discount 35%. That's how that works. Start with a 100 and then work down. In part B, what does sales tax do? Make your price go up or down? Up. Okay, so you start with 100 and you're going to go up by 9.25. So first you do the subtraction or the addition. So in the subtraction case, we're going to get down to 65%. In the addition case, we're going to get up to 109.25%. So first, start with 100 and either do the subtraction or the addition. After that, then you're going to take off the percentage. And so the percentage from 65% would become 0.65, and since I don't know the price currently, I would fill it in with X. If I did know the price, I would fill it in with that number. The other one, when I move the decimal now becomes after the 1, so 1.0925. And again, in this situation, I haven't told you what the price was, so you'll follow that with a number. If you did know the price, then you would put that number on the end. Okay, any questions about percentage? All right, great. Third thing, a little geometry. How do you turn geometric words into an algebra math problem? So it's sort of a crossing over between geometry formulas and algebra problems. So here's the first one, something like this. Write the perimeter if the width of a rectangle is 2 less than the length. Okay, the width of the rectangle is 2 less than the length. One of the mistakes people make here is that they see the first 3 words, write the perimeter, and so they start with trying to write the perimeter instead of actually starting with the length and the width first. Start with those, then write the perimeter last to finish the question. So we've got width compared to length, and we have those words less than. So the width of the rectangle is 2 less than the length. So again, think of you're comparing the width and the length. The width is less than, and so the width is the smaller of the two, so you start with the length. You start with the larger one. So we're going to say that length, okay, and maybe we'll call that L. And so then width would not be W, but width would be 2 less than that, and so it would be L minus 2. After you've figured out the length and the width, don't use different variables. Don't use one L and one W. You're using the same variable twice in 2 different ways. Then you can do the perimeter. And how do you find the perimeter of something? Any shape, really. How do you find the perimeter of anything? Add up what? Both lengths and both widths, right? You're going to add up all 4 sides. And so you're going to add the length twice. That's L plus L. That's the top and the bottom length. And then the 2 widths on the side, you'll have L minus 2, and add another L minus 2. And then you just simplify that all together. And so you look, oh, I've got common terms. I have a bunch of things added up. How many L's are there all together? Count them up. How many? 4 L's, okay, all together, and then minus 2 and minus 2, which would be minus 4. So that would be how to write that expression. But notice I didn't start with perimeter. I started with length and width and then finished with perimeter. Second example under geometry would be a triangle one. So write the area for a triangle whose base is 4 times the altitude. Now here's one of those language things, one of those, like, what if you don't know what altitude means? Then what do you do? Well, let's review what altitude means. Okay, in a triangle, where's the altitude found? You just drew it. Okay, so we call that the height. Okay, yeah, the altitude goes from the top of the triangle, the vertex, straight down perpendicular to the base. So sometimes they also will call that the height. But we're not going to start with area. We're going to start with base and altitude, and then we have the fact they are related by 4 times. So what we're going to, all right, the base is 4 times the altitude, so you're going to compare those two. We're going to start with the altitude. We're not going to use 2 different variables. Okay, we're going to call the altitude A. And we're not going to call the base B. We're going to use A again, but we're going to use its relationship. So the base is figured out by being 4 times that. So that would be 4A. So we're not using, again, don't use different variables. Reuse the same variable. Then we're going to do area. All right, so we figured out how to do perimeter. Perimeter is adding up all the sides. How do you do area if something is shaped like a triangle? Go ahead, Rachel. Okay, 1/2 base times height, or 1/2 base times the altitude. And so in this case, we're going to have 1/2 of the base, which is 4A, times the altitude, which is A. So when we multiply 1/2 times 4 and A times A, we get 2A squared, and that's the formula for our area. All right, the fourth and last topic is the idea of the words each or per. If those words always show up, they imply that you must include a variable. So if you find those words showing up in a problem, make sure in both of them, both of the cases, you're going to include a variable. So the way that might pop up is in a question like this, and this will be our last one. All right, your credit card balance is $1,225 plus 16% interest less $150 payment per month. So we've got a lot going on here. We've got just about everything we've talked about. We have the word plus. What does that imply? Addition. Okay, what about less? What is that going to imply? Subtraction. We've got a percentage going on here, and we've got the word per. So we've got a little bit of everything. So when we write this, we're starting with the 1225 plus 16%. Now remember, we got to take off the percentage, so we're going to have 0.16, and then we follow that either with a variable or the price if we know it. And I happen to know the price, which is $12.25. All right, it's the 16% is being tacked on to the credit card. So that's 16%, 0.16 times $12.25. If I hadn't known the starting of the credit card, I would just put an X. Then I come up with less, so there's less. Not less than, but less. $150, and that's per month, and so I do need a variable to represent the per month, so you can use M for per month, or if you like the variable X, you can use X per month. Doesn't matter to me what variable you pick. Okay, just pick a variable. So you've got 1225 plus 16.16 times 1225 minus 150X.